And I believe this one here is the problem that we got to, yes? Now, we did one example problem like this yesterday. And we were going over the angle addition postulate, which is really saying that if we take the two angles and add them together, we'll get the whole, yes? Now this one here is telling us that these two angles make a straight angle or a line. Make a line, yes? So the sum of those angles should equal what? 180. 180 degrees is a straight line, yes? Now, yesterday we started this off with actually writing the mathematical, technical way we would do this. And we would say that the measure of angle KLN plus the measure of NLM equals the measure of KLM. And then we're going to solve for the value of x and plug it back in to find the angles. Well, what do we actually know? We know that 10x minus 5 plus what? 4x plus 3 is 180, yes? Because we're adding those two angles together and they give us the whole. So we don't have to start off with the pure mathematical definition. We can start right here. Yep, because since it told us it's a straight angle or a line, it's going to add together to be 180. 180 degrees is a straight line. It depends on the calculator. If we have a TI-89, yes. But other than that, no. Because since we have 4x and 5x, it's going to want a value. Because most calculators, so the TI-84 plus the graphing calculators and the 30XS both need a value for x. If we had a value for x we could plug in, yes. But at that point we would need to know the solution already. But what we can do first is combine like terms. Well, our 10x and 4x gives us 14x. Negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2 is equal to 180. Then what can we do next? We can add 2 to both sides, which tells us 14x is equal to 182. And last but not least, we would by telling us that x is equal to, so we'd have 1, 42, I think it's 13. I can, just give me 1 second. So, did we all agree with 13? Yeah. Yes? 182 divided by 14 is 13. Now what do we need to do? We need to plug it back in, yes? So we can take the 10x minus 5. So this here would be 10 times 13 minus 5, yes? Hopefully y'all can do 10 times 13 without a calculator. Because what is 10 times 13? You add a 0. 130. And 130 minus 5 is? So the measure of which angle? Angle KLN is 125, because that's where we got the 10x minus 5, yes? Now there's 2 ways we can find the other angle. One of them is subtracting it from 180, because we can say 180 minus 125. The other way is just to plug it in. So we say 4 times 13 plus 3. And we could have plugged it into the calculator for the other one too. 10 times 13 minus 5. Here we can say 4 times 13, which is going to be 52 plus 3, which is 55, which is the measure, well, I'll have to write it lower, measure of angle NLM is 55. Yes? Now, what is 125 plus 55? 180, yes? Now, this is a good way to check our work, because if I plug it into both and I get my answers, and these two didn't add up to be 180, I know that the value of x is not right. So it's a good way we can check our own work to make sure we got the right answer. Does that make sense? Because whatever we get for these two, as long as they add up to be what the total should be, we got the value of x right, we got the answer right. Does that make sense? Yes? Are you ready for the next one? Given that angle EFG is a right angle, so what's the measure of EFG? 90. Find the two measure of each of these angles. So we know that these two angles added together should be what? So we're saying that 2x plus 2 and plus x plus 1 is equal to 90. Yes? So what can we do first? We're going to combine like terms. So what are our like terms? 2x and x, yes? Which add together to be 2 and 1, 3. What can we do next? We can subtract 3. Now, for this one here, dividing by 3 isn't a bad move. Now, the reason I say that is because is 3x, 3, and 90 all divisible by 3? Well, yes. Is it always going to work out that every single term is divisible by that number? No. That's why we don't normally divide first. It still will work. It just gives us funky numbers. So, funky. So we're going to minus 3 first. So that we have 3x is equal to 87. Then we would divide by 3, telling us that x is equal to 29. So that's the value of x, yes? Now we need to find the two angles, yes? One of them's a little bit easier than the other. Because one of them is what? X plus 1, yes? So we have what? $30, which is the measure of angle HFG. So what's the other angle going to be? Yeah. So the other angle is 60. Well, what are the two angles supposed to equal? 90. One of them is 30, yes? Well, they both have 0, so 9 minus 3 is 6, yes? Put the 0, you get the same thing. Now, if we plug it in, 2 times 29 plus 2, well, 2 times 29 is 58, because 2 times 9 is 18, so 8 carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus our 1 is 5, and 5 plus 2 is, which is the measure of angle EFH. And 60 and 30 do add together to give us 90. Questions on this here? And I will say this now, and it's going to hold true for most of the year. A lot of what we're going to do is almost, we have a little dash of geometry followed by algebra 1. Because when we looked at this here, the fact that these two angles added together equal the whole is a geometry step, yes? So we set it up, and then all this here is just algebra 1. It has an application to it. Yes. Questions on this here? So this one here, using a bisector to find an angle. We have this problem here. QS bisects, so ray QS bisects angle PQR, and the measure of PQS is 24. Find PQR. So the question is, what is bisect? If we say, have y'all heard of the term bisect before? It divides it, because if we bisect, we are what? Cutting, because we've heard, especially in Ms. Hopper's room, they've talked about bisecting. You're cutting in half. That's what it means, bisect. Because bi, B-I, means 2. So we're cutting it into 2. And it's going to be into 2 equal parts when we bisect an angle. So the other one is 24. But we also talked about these little markers before yesterday. Or we talked about them yesterday, yes? And if we have them, it means they are equal. So what is the measure of angle PQR? Because each one's 24, and 24 plus 24 is? And that's it. Questions on this here? Are you ready for the next one? VB bisects angles AVC. AVC is 158. We want to find the other two. Yes. Right, because the whole thing is 158, and if it bisects and it cuts it in half, we're dividing it by. Mm-hmm. So if we divide 158 by 2, what do we get? So the measure of angle BVC is 79. The measure of angle AVB is, because they're both the same. Questions on this here? Yes. Now the reason we say that it is cut in half is because it tells us that VB, ray VB is a what? A bisector. VB bisects it. So it's telling us that that ray cuts the angle in half. Mm-hmm. Now if it doesn't tell us it's a bisector, then we can't assume it. Because unless we're told it, we can't assume it. So guys, one of the biggest things that I want to stipulate or kind of tell y'all, and this is going to be true on the test, just because it looks like it does not mean it's going to be true. Or just because it looks like it should be. So even if this looked like it was going to be cut in half, unless we're told it or we can prove it, we can't assume it. Okay? Because like the other day when we said it looked like it was 90 degrees for the angle, but it came up to 89. Okay, but here, does this look like it's cut in half? Well, no. I mean, do they look the exact same? No, but what are we told? It bisects it, yes? So then we know that they are cut in half. Even though it doesn't look like it, we can say it's true because it's told to us. Okay? And the same thing's true on the test. There's some of the angles won't look like they should be obtuse, but work out to be that way. It's going to be next week, next Friday. Yeah. Let's look at this one here. Now this one, it tells us what? It's the same. BD is bisecting the angle. Find ABD. So we want to find the whole and the two parts. Yes. Did they give us either part? Did they give us the measure of either part? Well, not a number. They gave us two equations or two expressions, yes? Do we know what the whole is? No, but we do know what? That this angle and this angle here are what? Going to be the same, yes? Because if it bisects the whole angle, the two parts are going to be the... So what do I know about 8x plus 35? Because these two angles, these two expressions are going to be the same because it bisected the whole angle. If it cuts the whole angle in half, its two parts have to be the same. Questions on how we set this up? What can we do first? We'll have to do the opposite operation to get everything on the same side. So we can do what? Yes. Now, what we do first doesn't really matter. So, yes, because I could have subtracted 8x first, or we could have subtracted 11x first. It doesn't matter, because we'll eventually get to the same answer. Our main goal to start with is to get x on one side and the numbers on the other. Because if we subtract 23 first, we'll get 8x plus 12 is equal to 11x. Now, once we do the first one, what we do next is kind of restricted. Because we could have subtracted here, really, all of them would be subtract. But we need the x's together. So we'll need to subtract the 8x. We need to move the 8x over. Because moving the 23 over first told us, okay, we've got to get the x's on the other side. Now, 8x minus 8x is 0, leaving 12. And 11 minus 8x, 11 minus 8 is 3x. Now we divide. And we divide by? So x is equal to?
Okay, so it's just 4 degrees.
4 is the value of x. To find the angle, we have to plug it back in. Which one do we plug it back into? Yeah. Either. So we could say 8 times 4 plus 35. Well, 8 times 4 is? 8 plus 8 is 16. And 16 and 16 is? Plus 35 is? 67. So they're both going to be 67 degrees. Questions on how we got this here? We will. Okay. Questions on any of this here before we finish this up? No? Okay. I'm going to... Yes. Do we have this written down? Okay. I'm going to clear this up. So we said this is 67, and this one here is 67. So the measure of angle ABD is one of the smaller ones, so it is. Now we also want the measure of angle CBD, which again is another one of the smaller angles, yes? So it is. And it also wanted the measure of angle ABC. Well, ABC is the whole angle, yes? So we would add these two together. Well, then we technically have the degree marker. I'm not going to be a stickler about it, but it's good to write. It's good to put it in there. Questions on this here? We like this here? I mean, do we need to see another example of one of these here? Yeah. So, in this here, in exercise, this here, BD is the bisector. Angle ABC. Find the three angles. So, since it's a bisector, we know that these two angles are going to be so we can say that 7x minus 18 is equal to 3x plus 6. No. Now, congruent, yes. If we were talking about the two angles, the angle ABD and DBC, yes, we would use that line to say that they're congruent. Since we're talking about the actual value of the angle, we'll use just the equal sign. Now, what do we want to do first? Yeah, we can minus 3x first, or minusing 6. So either one works. Why don't you go on and do the minus 6 and work it through that way? And we'll see if we do get to the same endpoint. Now for here, if we subtract 3x, these will cancel out, telling us that 7x minus 3x is 4x. Minus 18 is equal to 6. Almost. At 18, yes. No, you're good. So we'd have 4x because 18 minus 18, or negative 18 plus 18 is 0. And 6 plus 18 is by. So we divide both sides by 4 because we want x by itself. Because 4 divided by 4 is 1. Anything divided by itself is 1. So that leaves us with x equals. Did we get the same thing? Yeah. Let me see. So minus a negative gives us a bigger negative. So this would be.
Yeah, I figured you had it.
And then we can subtract 7x, which shows us negative 24, equals, because these cancel, 3 minus 7 is, then we would divide by the negative 4, which is, yeah, so which one we do first at the beginning doesn't really matter. We just need to pick one and go from there. Questions on this here? Okay. And you got that from doing 3 times 6 plus 6, yes? 24. So we have 24, which means the other one's 24, and the whole thing would indeed be 48. And when we list it out, we could say that the measure of angle ABD is equal to 48. The measure of angle DBC, I am writing, because this should be 24, this should be 24, and the measure of angle ABC, yes, 48. Thank you. Now, if I write something wrong, please let me know. Because it's bound to happen, especially, I've done it time and time again, where we'll start off with saying, okay, 4x equals 24. I would list them just to make sure that we know what is what. Now on the test, I will have a lot of these written out for you. Measure of angle this equals blank, and put the spaces for you so you can fill them in. But make sure you're putting the right numbers with the right ones. Okay? So again, it'd be paying attention to which one's which, because I've had it several. Yes. So we plugged 6 into 3x plus 6, yes? Well, 3 times 6 plus 6 is 24, yes? So this one here is 24, which tells me that this is 24. Now, because it bisected, this one here is also going to be the same. And we could have done that. We could have said 7 times 6 minus 18. Well, 7 times 6 is 42. And 42 minus 18 is? Now, the whole angle is these two added together. So ABC is 24 plus 24, which is 48. Does that make sense? So it's kind of plugging it back in. Any other questions on this here? And that's it. So we have 3 through 12, 21 through 26, 33, 34, and 37 and 40. You mind if I borrow this for a second? I'll give it right back. So guys, looking at this here, so looking at this problems, 3 through 6, write 3 names for the angle. So 3, 4, 5, and 6, you're just writing the 3 names, naming the angle in 3 ways. 7 and 8, name 3 different angles in the diagram. So again, you're just naming the angles. The vertex, as long as there's only one. So on 7 and 8, because there's more than one angle there, we can't name it by the vertex. So 5 can be named as K or 1. Yes, we have 4 for it. 9, 10, 11, and 12. Find the measure of the angle, then classify it. So there's 2 parts. You got to find its measure and then classify it as acute, right, obtuse, or straight. Straight line. 21 through 36 is again solving. 33, 34. Yep. 33 and 34, you're using the diagram, so with bisecting. 37 and 40 is again with bisecting. Yeah, 3, 4. This, nope. Yes. Now you have the rest of the class time to get started on this. And if you have any questions, let me know.